Beauty. Well, welcome to the last podcast of 2025. I'm Matt. This is Lili. You all know Benny. What a year. I mean, this will be episode 19 of the podcast. It's just pretty crazy. We're so lucky to have such generous hosts in Damo and James at the Lonsdale Street studios. But we thought it'd be a great idea to review some of our favourite or most insightful moments from 2025, and we've got a few clips ready to roll, and we'll make a comment as they come in. But it all feels very, very professional here, so we're very lucky to be part of this setup. But any words before we get into the first clip?
No, not for me. Just excited to see what you guys have picked.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I can't thank Lonsdale Studio and Damo and Jimbo and Chloe enough. This is certainly when we thought we wanted to make this year of the story and get more people sharing their stories, which is what we've been doing in the newsletter, and we thought let's take it up a notch this year when we're like, yep, let's get a pod going. And Breeny struck gold with his cold email. Another Breeny cold email strikes hot when you emailed him, mate, asking if the studio was keen to help. So well done to you for that, for your cold email asking Lonsdale to get involved, because they've just been the best. I mean, they've been the best partners for this. Like
example,
they live and breathe it, and just I know I've already said it twice, but thank you again, Lonsdale Studio, for this. This is a bit of fun, and hopefully, as people will say, there's been some meaningful, not just fun. There's actually been some meaningful stuff that hopefully, I know, especially your episode, kudos, I think it has made a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get into it.
Yep.
All righty. Play. Here we are.
Here we are indeed, mate. So we're talking about red flags and yellow flags, learning to spot them in people that come to AFRA and in themselves, making sure, because you can't help other people unless you're in a good state to help others. And your better half said, how do you spot the people that are like the life of the party, that are putting on that mask that everything's okay, that they're fine, but obviously your mate wasn't okay for a long time leading up to it. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, looking back, did you notice anything now looking back, or you were still like, what is it? What was a flag now looking back that you'd spot in your mate? Because I hope people listening might be able to spot it and just not go and fix their friends, but just be looking out for them. For the people that are really good at masking.
It's a really good question, Benny. And look, one of my best mates today is his brother, 2 years younger than him, and another of my best mates, and we've all just been away to Hawaii together, and we talk about Pete every time we're together. And one of the things that it's not an obvious sign, Benny, but when I look back when we were out fishing and when we were living together, there were times when, and it's hard to explain, but I just could tell that he wasn't. There was the shape of his forehead. I know that sounds ridiculous, but
swelling or something.
Yeah, mate, I could tell by the shape of his eyes that when I look back, and I can see him now, like that he wasn't. He just wasn't in a good place, and I actually think when I look back that I knew he wasn't, but it was like it wasn't my.
Was it your place to say anything?
It wasn't my place to ask, but it was. I should have been, but like I say, different time, different situation, and I think now, because I've got to, I think everybody has days that are bad, Benny. I don't
weeks that are bad.
Yeah, of course.
Months
Yeah. And I've had a couple of bad. Everybody does, but I think the difference or the advice that I would give to people, and I've done it with you a couple of times where I've just actually rung you up.
You checked in
and said, hey, mate, I'm just saw you the other day. You all good? Do you want to go have a beer?
It was last year. I'm trying to remember what happened. I was last weekend, and I was just run down. I don't remember what it was, but I do still really appreciate that message.
What I'm getting at is I think people should ask, even if you have the slightest inclination.
Inclination of what? That you'll offend them, or the
no, slightest inclination that someone's struggling.
They're not great.
Yeah. Ask. Just ask. I just wish I'd have been more mature, smarter, and just said to Pete, mate, what's going on? What? Talk to me. You know, what's going on in your head? Like, and I never did that.
All right. Yeah, that was my clip. So I think in prep for this, we all picked 3 clips each. And I think that's the clip that's had the biggest impact on me. One, and for a couple of reasons. One has been just getting to know Rich. The guy is probably the most busiest person I've ever met, running 600 gyms, or more than that now. At Anytime. He's now running Anytime Fitness in the UK as well. But the guy just makes so much time for R4R, and you can see in every interaction I have with him, you can see how much he cares and believes in what we're doing. So that clip's really special to me. One, for it just symbolises the friendship that I've made with Rich, and that him and I'd known him that long. It wasn't a few months maybe after we first had that coffee with Jess and Rich at Double Shot, and they were encouraging us to step it up a gear with R4R, that he sent that text. And I was like, text from Rich, he doesn't even know me that well, but he's just checking in on me. And that always really stuck with me. And that's something, him doing that, a guy I know is super busy, has so much to do, but he still took the time to send me a text when I was over. I can't remember, but I was probably run down. I wasn't managing stuff well. It wasn't in a super bad way, but whenever he saw me, I must not have been the normal Ben that he knew.
Swollen forehead.
Maybe my forehead was swollen. But that's really changed how I even have a list now in my phone of just people that I know something's happened in their life. They might have been laid off, or they've lost a family member, and then just on the weekend or on a Friday, if I've got a bit of downtime, I might shoot a couple of them a text. Just, hey, how you going? Like, nothing fancy, nothing earth-shatteringly complex, but I think it just, for a guy who I know is super busy, to make time just to text me how I'm going, it made a big difference. It still sticks with me. I do remember that text. So that's something that has definitely changed my behaviour, was that conversation, and why I picked that clip.
Yeah, changed others' behaviour too. A few people said that they texted their mates as a result of watching that. I think there's no downside texting your mates.
And receiving a message like that, if you are doesn't have to be a super bad place, but it just shows you that you're not alone, and it can really make a huge difference. You don't have to reply straight away either. Like, I've received a couple from Rich as well. He's, a great guy, and it really is nice knowing that people make time and care about you.
He cares, and you can see, we obviously hear about his best mate. People watch the clip. It gets a bit graphic what happened, but he didn't even tell everything about what happened to his mate, and it is just so sad, so tragic, and it just really clear why Jess and Rich are so committed to R4R, having gone through that and trying to just save more lives from suicide. So Jess and Rich, thank you, guys are superstars, and maybe on to the next clip.
Well, I just want to back Rich up on his swollen forehead, because I think the 2 reasons. There is something called, like, if you think about the different faces you make when you get focused or surprised, like, there's certain lines or what indents that you can pick up. It's called like the grief wrinkle or whatever it is. I don't
Need
know
some Botox for that.
But there's also, I reckon, intuition, just based on what you're feeling. You know someone better than most people do. If something's just a bit out of the ordinary, it just means that something's out of the ordinary. It's just worth sending a text or whatnot. It could be out of the ordinary for a good reason, for a bad reason, but there's no downside.
But the other thing, they might not, like, we think we need to send a text and then their friend will be fixed. It's one, their friend doesn't need fixing. No one's broken, and it's probably a discussion for another day, but it just lets the person know that you're there for them. You might not want to open up, or the person might not be ready to open up, but they know you care about them. And I know if I'm in a super bad way, one of the first people I'm going to text to go have a chat with will be Rich.
Yeah. Yeah, just letting them know you're there, isn't it? Yeah. Beauty. Next clip. That girl who was shrugging her shoulders in the psychology room, or that girl that was fiddling with the cords or whatever in the pediatric ward. If you could walk into the room and see her, what would you, like, would you say anything? Like, could you say anything? What would you do? Or would you just sit there and just be there?
I think, what would I do? I think I'd first of all give her a big hug.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, you are enough. Like, you don't – just being you is enough, and you don't have to make yourself seem better, or, you know, just being you is enough. And then I think I would just sit there for a while.
Yeah.
Who picked that?
I picked that one,
Okay.
but I'll let you start, Lily.
Well, actually, I was thinking about that, and I don't know if I would give myself a hug, because I know 15-year-old me would have hated that. But I think maybe I needed it. Yeah, it's interesting watching yourself on TV, actually. I haven't seen that before.
Well, the reason I picked it, it's kind of what you alluded to in Nobody Needs Fixing, in a sense. How powerful it is just someone being there.
Yeah.
And not having a solution, and just, like, I often think about it. If you tell someone what you're going through and they just go, oh man, that sucks, and then they don't say anything else, sometimes that is so powerful.
Yeah.
And just being there. And that's what stuck out with me, is like, sometimes we just need that like you had it with your family, but it's like we just need it. We need someone to just be there.
Yeah, because it can be very isolating when you're in a bad place. And so, yeah, just having someone physically there can make a huge difference without them actually doing much at all.
Yeah.
I think it's also very wise what you said about just that you are enough. And I think it's something a lot of professional sports people fall in the trap of, is we're always trying to get better, push ourselves to be better, improve, get feedback. And that's great. We should want to get better and improve as people, but really, like, that's just from a place, that should come from a place of curiosity about what our potential is. But basically, at the end of the day, though, we shouldn't need to do any of that. We are enough as people to just be present. We don't have to be productive. Like, and that's something that really resonated with me. And something I almost reflect on daily, like trying to unpick my identity from, like, achievement. Because certainly in the past, I needed to achieve stuff to feel good about myself, to get external validation. And I think that the root cause is a lot of my burnout and a lot of my struggles, particularly in retirement, because I didn't have sport anymore to achieve things. Great clip, kudos.
Thank you.
The constant tension between gratitude
improving
and ambition.
It's like, we all should want to get better and improve, but that doesn't also mean we're broken.
Yeah. It's a
hard balance.
And everyone finds it hard to follow.
Yep.
It's like,
It's more like self-growth.
Yep.
It's like you're enough, but then you just keep on improving. But you don't have to do anything physically to have that growth. You just sort of have it within yourself.
Yeah, and out of curiosity. I like that angle. It's like improvement via curiosity is a good way to do it.
I was really lucky with the Recess for Resilience. I had Steph come to me incredibly passionate at the start of the year when I was in the acting principal role. And sometimes in schools, particularly the public service in Canberra in particular, we're very much a big brother society. Do you have this in plan? Do you have a plan for this? Do you have a map for this? And we make things really challenging to do. And it's a sad way some of our, more fun excursions, our international excursions, our ones where kids go over to foreign countries and, help build churches or visit lower communities, those are starting to disappear. I mean, even our school camps are disappearing.
Just because there's like this big administrative load to make it happen.
There's so much administrative load on teachers, but also this really risk-averse nature in how we approach everything. And I know we do that for safety reasons and security reasons, but, a 150-page document on swim safety doesn't help our swim carnival actually be safer. It's actually the processes you put in place, the people being active. Sticking a sign up on my pool saying don't drown isn't going to stop anyone drowning. And we do, as a very litigious community here in Canberra, get stuck on a lot of that. So as a leader, I'm a big person of, yes, how do we make that happen? So to have Steph come to me at the start of the year and just be like, I've got an idea and you know what, we're going to make it happen because I'm very passionate about this. It's going to impact, heaps of kids, but if it impacts one, it's done its job. And she was just like, how do we make it happen? And, we started to tick all the boxes of our risk assessments, checking up the different policies to take kids off school grounds. We started small. We had to change some of our permissions for off-site with the kids.
So we started we started on site, and then after one term we moved across.
Yeah. So we started
to the field across the road.
Yeah. So we started the Recess for Resilience inside our school gates, which we had pretty solid turnouts for the kids, but I'll be honest, it was a pretty bleh sort of run. The kids still enjoyed it and got a bit out of it.
It was a good soft launch into it, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
We got good regulars, kids that were keen to come and exercise, keen to come and chat. But after that term, when we'd built up a bit of that culture about here's our expectations, here's some of the language we use to talk to one another, we actually trust you. You're showing yourselves to be responsible young adults. And these kids are from year 3 to year 6, and we've even had some year 2s come across recently. We actually go outside the school gates to the oval across the road, and that sort of was just the shot in the arm it really needed. The kids, there's just this immense pride to be able to go outside of the gates to do
They
something.
feel trusted or something, or they're venturing
They
beyond.
take it seriously and they take the responsibility.
They do. Yeah. One of the kids actually came to Steph earlier this week and was like, I can't go on Thursday. I've got the school soccer thing. I'm so sorry. I won't be there. And it's like, that's cool. But they really identify and attach to that day, and it's had a huge impact on a really core group of our kids. But it's had some significant impacts. And I guess when we look at mental health, again, sometimes in all our society, we look for big solutions to solve everyone's problem, and that's not what mental health is always about. It's actually just about making a difference for one person at a time, and then let's do it again and try and impact as many as we can. And, in schools we can fall into traps of, there's not lots of kids going, or, it's quite expensive to send 2 staff out across the oval for 30 kids, or it's a big imposition, or there's a lot of admin work, and those things die as a result of it. But the impact it's had on the kids, and a couple of kids, if you let me talk about them later in particular.
Why don't you just go now? Roll
has
into
just been huge. I guess for me, all the kids, it's so good to see them rate 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, how they're feeling before and after the run, and they all tend to improve. But we've got 2 kids in particular I want to talk about. One, little boy who's struggling in school at the moment. He's just really struggling with some connection, but also changes in medication, family routines. He has an amazing family that supports him immensely, but he's going through a lot of big emotions and struggling to connect with his peers and regulate, particularly at the end of the day. Thursdays are his highlight. Like, he is at recess for resilience no matter what. He could have had a shocking few days. He could have been away a few days, and he is away a lot. But his attendance on Thursdays is near perfect. He comes to recess for resilience. He bags us if he misses it. But even just to see him come across, and, the first session I think I had a chuckle with you, Ben, because we do our big circle, like the huddle, the scrum, and he's like, no, don't touch me. Don't touch me. And, that's part of his diagnosis and challenges. He's like, don't touch me. But by 3 or 4
2 or 3 weeks later, he was getting his arms in and starting to.
And he gets a bit shirty when they don't put their arms around him, some of them. But the positive impact that has on him on a Thursday, like, it's worth all the resources and all the admin just to impact that one child. And it's incredible to see that change in him. The second one that I think is a really great example is we have a new student to our school, again, has a number of challenges at school. You don't always move schools because things are great, and move to states and jurisdictions. Selective mute student who doesn't talk to a lot of people, really has had trouble finding her friendship groups and the people around. Steph actually was her class teacher for most of term 2, and I don't think you heard her speak until about the end of term 2 at recess for resilience. Yeah. But for her, she, like, Mondays are pretty, term 1, she never spoke to a single adult, spoke to one child, would whisper in her ear. Term 2, she had a couple of good friends, and they would come across to the recess for resilience and do things. By the end of term 2, we were just seeing this pattern with her, and term 3, where Mondays she'd be pretty quiet still. Tuesdays she'd start to warm up and wave as she walks by my office and, start to do that. Wednesday was really good, and Thursday it was like, oh my God, can you get back in your box? You are so excitable and so happy. Even gave up and gave me a huge, I've been away for a few days ill, came up and gave me a huge hug today and just said, I missed you. Where were you for running recess for resilience? Talking to staff, and her teachers really noticed that difference across the week, really peaking and building up to the Thursdays, but it does flow on into other aspects, and she's got other friends, and the friendship group's expanded, older kids that will ask her how she's going and check in. And, again, we always look for these big solutions, magic solutions, put fluoride in the water and fix everyone's teeth sort of thing, and that's not how mental health works. So to impact those 2 students and forget all the other benefits that come for the other 30, 40 kids that come on and off and love it, as well as the benefits me and Steph get from it just individually, it's totally worth it. And I would recommend any school looks at it because the impact it can make in a kid's life, you don't know the follow-on that'll have 10 years from now, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
What a clip.
Isn't that amazing?
It's awesome. That, I mean, there's a lot to unpack from that one clip. That's the one of the episodes I walked out, just had goosebumps, so much energy from that discussion with the teachers, Mr. Nico. And that's been also a personal highlight for me is getting to know Mr. Nico this year. Miss O'Neill, who you saw briefly, she's the one that reached out to us saying, hey, I'd love to start research students at my school. But she knew she couldn't do it alone, so she went and asked Mr. Nico, who's the deputy principal at Torrens Primary, and he just gets it. And I know, Breeny, you got pretty excited after watching it when you heard him say, what bit got you really excited? When he said,
You would have heard it in the clip. And also Mr. Hall said something earlier, but just reiterated a few things that R4R stands for. And in this clip, it was one life at a time. You know, it's not the big solution. It's the solution for one person and then see if we can scale it. And that's got to be at least a way forward. And it's just so cool hearing other people arrive at similar conclusions in their own story because it validates the approach that we're doing and why we're seeing. But
then on that, I wish I asked the follow-up question was like, because I've heard from them how much when those two students, especially the first one, when he's in a good place, he's just like a disrupt class. And then the whole class and then all the other kids get the class run smoother and the teachers that love it. They love that he goes to, because then he just, not that fits into the right word, but just everything just runs smoother and all the kids get a less disrupted educational experience because of one kid really, the kid that probably needs it, one of the kids that needs it most is benefiting. So that just, it gives me goosebumps watching that. That was, And the other thing, I mean, it really hits on that, apart from getting to know Mr. Nico, has just been such a pleasure. He really hit the nail on the head, which I think is a big challenge for R4R is underneath that litigious society, I think is teachers and administrators, everyone is just crippled with anxiety and worried they're going to get sued. And I'm really proud that, R4R wasn't insured for the first 4 years. I know you were a bit worried for a bit, Breeny, but we
catastrophised,
and I think people, and now we complain about our insurance prices all going through the roof and stuff because there's this, we're all so worried, we're all acting like Chicken Little think the sky's going to fall in and that the worst is going to happen. And sometimes the worst happens. Stromlo did have a death at an excursion a few years ago. It was a tragic accident. So there's got to be, it's not about being the Wild West and letting kids do whatever, and we need to take all these crazy risks, but we need to be mindful. And I'm so passionate about that bit where he said, excursions are falling off because, we're just putting so much administration burden on teachers and that we're actually then crippling our kids, the future. They're not learning. I think a lot of mental health struggles is people can't learn to live outside their comfort zones, which is where they start to grow, and they just keep retreating back, and then they feel crap.
Yeah.
And so,
but something you're really good at, and I think it's where this it falls over, is with safety of volunteers. You're very much of the lens, how can we make it as safe as possible? Whereas a lot of the people that get caught up in this is, how can we prevent getting sued? And it's two different lenses that often arrive at the same requirements because it's like law mirrors what should be reasonable. But I think, something you're really good at and something that obviously Mr. Nico and Steph are really good at is like, okay, this is a great thing. How can we make it as safe as possible?
Having that view, how can we make it happen? Not what's all the risks that could happen? Because R4R would have never happened. It would have never got started if we were worried about insurance.
Yeah.
Would have never happened. So I take a lot out of that and something, love R4R and Recess Resilience to play a role in helping schools find a better balance
and other charities.
With risk and with charity, so that these kids can actually start to find where their boundaries are because every time they step up. And I see it with my kids, when we give them more responsibility, they step up.
Yeah.
And they grow. And it's just a bit of just a trend with society. We're all, so anyway, no, enough ranting about that.
I love the bit where he said it doesn't have to be, the fluoride in water approach. It can be something as simple as taking the kids out for a walk and then getting them to connect. And that's what running for resilience is. But it's so simple when you look at it on paper, but it works so well.
Painfully simple. painfully simple how well it works.
Yeah.
But why don't people then? Why isn't it better well known? Like why does society we going for all these fluoride in water approaches? Why is that? Or is this not the time for that conversation?
Well, we'll go where the flow goes. But Lily, do you have?
Well, I think people, there's a lot of research in science, and people like to have like evidence that backs things, and maybe we can be part of that with the research we're doing with UC, that there is evidence in these kind of community-led groups that can have big impacts on a lot of people the more they grow. But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe people always want something more complex, looking for the magic pill that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's human nature to would take the path of least resistance in a way. And big solutions offer a really nice narrative to problems that, plague so many people. But so much of the stuff that anyone endures starts with individual effort and effort of those around them. And the bottom-up approach is harder road to take, but it's the most sustainable road to take, and it's going to lead the most impact. But gee whiz, it is a bloody enticing narrative when somebody says, you don't have to brush your teeth anymore. We put fluoride in the water.
We still need to brush our teeth. Anyway, just to round that one out, also Miss O'Neill's amazing, and we really, I guess, let the cat out of the bag. Miss O'Neill's going to join the R4R team next year to help grow recess. So really exciting times in the recess resilience space.
Definitely.
It's interesting because we've built this at Torrens.
And it is a bloody good episode as we're
And
backing up
we
with the
really
clip.
do have a core group of about 30 students who come every week. They're super enthusiastic to be there. And I feel like they're always coming, just whether they're just always there. It's like we almost don't even need to do anything. They'll show up because we've kind of created this space that they really like. And one of the things that I think has made that work so well is that message of it's completely optional. So if you don't want to come, then don't come. If you want to come, then come. And what it means is that all of the kids who are there on the day, they're really excited to be there. And we've created this nice little community within the school community. And I was talking to some of the students, what do you like about Recess for Resilience? And they all said the same thing. They said that they like being part, or they feel like they're part of something and they belong somewhere. And they like that they can check in with their friends. So even if they're not doing it during the week or whatever on a daily basis, on Thursdays they are, and they like that they're checking in with their friends, and they like that they can meet other people in the school as well. That was something that all of them said. They like that it's optional. They like that they checking in with their friends. A lot of them said that they feel a lot more energetic afterwards. And what was the other thing I said? They
Connect.
Yeah.
I love how they check in on us too. That's something
do.
that doesn't happen in schools anymore. The days of thanking your teacher at the end of the day and the apple on the desk and that, which shows my age, those things are gone. Parents don't even remember to give chocolates after a camp these days. But these kids come up to you and it's not just, hey, how are you doing today? They genuinely go, how are you? And they do it through the week as well. They open doors for you. They smile. They notice those
Yes.
differences that make a change into that well-being. And
Yes.
you couldn't have forced that onto kids. You couldn't have put a PowerPoint up. You couldn't have done a speech. You couldn't have made them do it. You just had to create a space, which Steph did, that has allowed it to grow.
I mean, she's awesome, Miss O'Neill, and she gets it. And I think, we didn't know for a little while what actually Recess for Resilience was, other than just running for resilience at schools. But what it is a community within the broader school community, a bit of a structure to around meeting, either just catching up with your friends or meeting new students. And Miss O'Neill, if you're watching, I couldn't be prouder of you. And we used to work together at KPMG, so we've been friends for a long time. And so good to hear all that stuff.
The optional thing. Sometimes the
How much does it mimic the Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Gotta
It's just
leaving
the
with
little
more.
people.
It's sometimes the vulnerability of something, so, you know, people not having to go, people being able to leave whenever they want, it makes something even more special because everyone's there on their own volition. And it's like you're not being forced here, so therefore I know you want to be here, which adds more value to this relationship, so to say. And it's obviously working at that level too, but I've always kind of observed it with After Art. The fact that anybody who contributes so often to After Art could just leave at any point, but they don't because they love it. It's like we're on a knife's edge, but it seems very well balanced. It's just it's a cool feature of our community and the community that's growing there.
And massive kudos to Torrens Primary because I think I don't have kids and I don't operate with kids that often, but I feel like getting kids to voluntarily do something and love it at school would have been a bit of a challenge initially. And the fact that they've been able to pull that off and get kids loving it and asking about it and wanting to do it even if they're not setting it up is massive. And it would have, like they said, a huge impact on so many kids' lives, and it's amazing.
The ripple effect too. Even like you said, the behaviour with the kid who is now improving the
classroom, all the students around, he goes back in a better self-regulated in a better state in the classroom.
Like a reset.
But these kids are getting better habits of checking in on other people, of
checking in on the teachers,
opening doors, and those little ripples, they make a difference. You know, like we spoke about, like the text from Rich can help, or, you know, a message from someone can just help you break a little bit of whatever cycle of thought you're in. A friendly person opening the door for you, you know, making eye contact, making a smile, that can tilt someone's day towards a better day. And if we have a community of people constantly interacting with each other more positively, that's part of classroom cohesion, but also community cohesion as well. It's like, it's cool. It's cool to see. It's cool to see it work on a, gee whiz, no, recess could be something cool.
And thanks to all the other schools as well, like Forest Primary, Mr. Robson, Mr. Hall and Mr. Weatherall and Georgie Mack at Grammar, and obviously OG Mr. Buck at St. Clair's. So thank you to everyone that's put into recess and made it what it is, and long may it continue.
Long may it continue.
It picked up.
Yep.
And then what about zooming out over the course of a year? So that's like in a weekly cycle, but what is there any interest, like just trends you guys have noticed?
I hate saying this because it's my happiest time of the year. It always was. And now I have a very real appreciation for the fact that for many more people, Christmas and the holiday season is the toughest time. And I think that's for many reasons, and you can probably relate to this. It's when you start to reflect and you start to imagine, or you're forced to imagine a world without people, or you've lost people, or you're struggling with relationships or financially. It's the time to be merry. It's in your face everywhere you go. I walked here through the shopping centre because we're now based at the centre, and the carols are up and the trees are out, and I love it. But at the same time, I'm reminded that for so many more people, it's a tough time. They feel more isolated because it's stress, family or visiting. Not everyone has the same experience with friends or family. So over the summer period here in Australia, we see the highest rate of suicide.
Pretty confronting for this time of year, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought it was an important clip to highlight because it is very relevant. We're, 5-6 days out from Christmas, and it is in your face that it's the happiest time of the year and everyone's going to Christmas parties, talking about their holiday plans. And if you're not in a great place, it can be really tough to sort of be in that environment and just sort of question why you're not in a good place and what's going wrong. And even if you're physically with other people, you can feel so isolated, and it can be really tough. So I think all of our runs going ahead in some capacity.
Yep.
So I wanted to highlight that there will be those runs. So if you're feeling lonely, that you can turn up to any of our usual runs and there'll be some people there.
The contrast can really highlight what you might be feeling like. If you're alone and you, like we found when we got feedback that big crowds can actually be a lonely place. And it's because I guess like it's in your face, or they're seeing other people interact and they're like, well, I don't have anyone to interact with. And so same with Christmas, like, wow, all the families are getting together. I'm lonely. Or maybe there is, like Carrie said, extra stress at Christmas that adds to it. It's
The other thing I wanted to highlight, and I want to preface this by saying I think it's important that we do celebrate our wins, and it's important to reflect back on the year we've had and be proud of what we've achieved and the memories that we've created with our loved ones and friends. But I do tend to see this time of year on social media that people start to sort of post their highlights of the year. And I think that's amazing, as I just said. But if you're in a negative frame of mind, or even not, if you just feel like you haven't achieved those sort of big ticket items that society says, like, promotions, marriages, babies, whatever, it can be really tough to sort of scroll through your feed and just seeing that a lot, because you sort of start to compare, be like, I haven't done any of that. What's wrong with me? So I could be the only one that does this. This could just be something I need to do. But I thought it would be a good thing. You don't have to share it with anyone, but maybe if you're feeling like that, put your phone away, but just think about 3 things that you're proud of yourself that you've done this year, because everyone has done something. It might not be the promotion or the engagement, but everyone's achieved lots of things, and it's important to reflect back and be proud and then maybe set some goals for the next year. But yeah, it can be tough this time of year with that aspect as well.
Yeah, it's just trying to be grateful for what, like, kind of the theme that's becoming in this podcast episode is people are enough.
Yeah.
People are enough, whilst everyone's different from the next person. You just got to try your best to be comfortable with who you are and what you're trying to do. Yep, improve, follow ambition through curiosity, but you're enough. And that little 3 things, that's like a daily journal, but just applied to the year, and just it's a great idea.
Yeah. And I also, if I don't want people to be thinking I'm coming out to get them if they are posting like the big things that they have achieved on social media.
I've got a big post plan next week.
Definitely.
Yes,
and
with that, 2024 is in review. Yeah.
2024.
Well, that was the trend last year.
Yeah,
I haven't seen them yet.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing that at all. And as I said, I think as a society we should celebrate our wins more, because I think we sort of that whole tall poppy syndrome. People don't like to do that as much as we should, and it's definitely it's if you've achieved things throughout the year, you should be proud of that. And so I'm not having a go at anyone who does that.
No, but I think your point I agree with is that I share my wins because I've shared my losses.
Yeah.
So and I do agree, and why I love the rag. And when you shared your eating disorder in the second newsletter, then opened up for everyone people started sharing losses, like tough things in life. And it helped me realise that everyone's got crap going on. And even if they don't now, they've had it in the past, so they're going to have it in the future. And it just that the newsletter, this is now an evolution of, helped me. It's now very clear to me that people, if they're only sharing highlights, they're hiding lowlights, because we all have them, and that's normal. And you don't have to share them, but it's just helped me. Yeah, I don't know. And I've thanked you plenty of times for your vulnerability in the newsletter. Then was a big step in me, and you, Breeny, sharing, you too, probably the most. Sharing your stories has helped me have the courage, or feel comfortable, not so much courage, but feeling comfortable to share mine. So thank you to both of you.
Yeah, and be honest, isn't it? It's like if you're just being honest, you're not wearing a mask. You're not spending energy on wearing a mask. The more comfortable we can be with being honest with each other, the more we are ourselves, the more practice we get at being ourselves, which is a good thing.
It was a challenging time. And I think one of the things that did help me immensely was someone very dear to me told me to go to R4R. And I started running, and I just remember thinking my head was about to explode. Like I literally days before tried to take my life. My dad came and met me. I rang him up. Thank goodness that I did. And I met him at Braidwood. And I remember being in the park at Braidwood. We met halfway, just bawling my eyes out, uncontrollable sobbing, snot, everything. It was, I just like everything came out. And this person encouraged me to go to R4R. And I never forget, I turned up in this crowd on a Wednesday night. Nobody knew what was going on inside of here. Nobody knew that days before I tried to take my life. I thought, what do? I don't even feel like talking to anyone. I hadn't really run before. Most I was doing was 2 kilometres here and there. And I've said this to the guy that helped me, but he didn't even know. But I I found this big, massive guy with a beard, red beard, footy player, is Jack Simpson. And I just ran behind him for 3 months, and whatever he did, I copied. So
You're a madman.
yeah, and he's fit. Like I was like, what? So I was like dying inside and then physically dying, trying to chase up with it. But we didn't talk. I didn't introduce myself. I just, he became my steady, helped bring balance back to my inner man. And the rhythm, the breathing, he was at peace, he was chilled. I watched how he ran. So he'd cruise, and then the last couple of Ks he'd lift it. So I learned all about running, but it actually helped bring stability to my life. And then I walked up to him and I said, 3 months after, I said, hey, you don't know me, but I'm Murray. And he goes, I know who you are. He goes, you're that guy that's been following me for 3 months. And he's an absolute champion. And I only just shared this with him recently because I entered into the Capital Coast. I've only been running a couple of years, but I like to push myself now. And I entered in Capital Coast, which is a 100K run. And I wanted a teammate, and he chucked his hand up. And we ran just to be part of it. And we ended up getting a placing, like a podium finish, Jack and I. And we're good mates now. And he really brought stability to my life without even knowing it, you know?
Jack Simpson, one of the best. I mean, everyone's good, but he's great. And Murray, super brave to be that vulnerable on the podcast. And he lost his wife to cancer, and then obviously went through his own struggles. I think you might have picked this clip as well, but the reason I picked it, I had the same. I got goosebumps walking out of this podcast with Natalie, Ryan, Murray with Rise Above, but I just loved the symbolic or the symbolism of Simo didn't know what he was doing. He was just there. He was rocking up. You know, he supports R4R, but him just turning up every week had an effect on Murray and gave him that, like he says, that steady hand through the tumultuous waters that he was swimming through. But I just love it. That's just symbolic of R4R. Every week, no matter what, we're there and people can just use it.
I picked it as well. First of all, the whole episode, I watched it or listened to it at work. And luckily I was in by myself that day because I was just crying. It was beautiful, but it was so moving. But what I thought about this clip is I remember years ago when you were first handing out the first hoodies or caps or whatever, and we sort of went up to you and said, well, how can we pay you for this? And while we're at it, how can we donate to support you? And you said, no. You're just by turning up, that's how you're contributing to Running for Resilience. And that's exactly what in that story there, because obviously funding and money is really important, and it's helped us, you know, be able to expand our services and who we can help. But you couldn't put money on what Jack did in that situation, and
without knowing
the impact. Without knowing the impact that he had on Murray's life. And I just thought it was the most beautiful story. And I like to think, and I'm pretty sure there would be so many other stories similar to that people aren't comfortable to share yet, and that's completely fine. But just knowing that the impact that we're having on real lives is huge.
Oh, I love him. Apart from Simo, you're a bloody legend. Up the owls.
Hoot hoot.
Hoot hooter. Like it was Simo being consistent was what a lot of people maybe think consistency is boring, but it was Simo being consistent is what helped Murray. Didn't know which way was up, head going to explode, but he knew at 6 p.m. this big red-headed monster's going to be there, and I'm going to just fall in single file behind him and just try and keep up with him. Like that, when people are struggling, it's that, I mean, you think you said with Lifeline, they're there. Like it's consistent. Parkrun was there for me when I was really struggling when I first retired. I knew 8 a.m. on Saturday, I just had to get down to Burley Griffin Parkrun and my mates would be there, and I'd get that energy boost that I really needed at that point. So, while R4R welcoming and not diversity, but what's the word? Like welcoming, inclusion, they're all buzzwords. I think R4R should be known most for is consistency, more so than welcoming. If we're consistent, I think that's what, people desperate. Apart from, obviously, of course, they want welcoming and community and all that stuff, but they need that consistently.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're doing really well, along with Parkrun and many other organisations. But I think it's just, and we've talked about it from the get-go, how important the fact that it's got to be consistent.
Was your idea at the start? Got to be a week.
It has to be the same time. It has to be consistent. So and someone that is struggling, they know it's there. They know they can rely on it. When the rest of their life might not be going how they want, they know that one event in their week is rock solid. It's locked in. It's going to be their energy boost to help them deal with all the ups and downs and the uncertainty in their week.
Yeah, and you don't have to be a Simo that goes every week, but by turning up, you're telling people that you believe in what R4R stands for. It's no one's destined for suicide. Whatever you're feeling is real. By people seeing that people believe that, it almost gives them a bit of breathing room to go, okay, there's a bit of validation there that I'm going through something that's normal. I can get through it, and I'll keep pushing forward. So it's so important people turning up.
And Simo didn't try and fix Murray. That's how we talked about it.
He was just doing
Simo
his thing.
did his thing. Just did his thing and just let Murray do his thing.
Even though we recognise
there's this bloke behind me who's an absolute legend. Love you, Murray. But it wasn't like Murray didn't need fixing. He wasn't broken. He just was he was just going through a rough patch, which is totally understandable. If you lost your loved one at such a young age, I'd be a mess if I lost Jen.
Oh yeah.
So it's totally normal. It's not that I'm broken. That is a very traumatic, hard thing to go through in life, and Murray was able to work through it in his own way, and
latch onto someone.
He was able to, Simo's consistency helped Murray get into running, and then that's helped Murray work through everything. And just love. He's got such a great energy, Murray. So does Simo, but when you're around him,
he's got a
such
presence.
Positive, grateful guy, super interesting guy as well.
Yeah.
I highly encourage anyone to have a run with him and chat with him. Really, really good guy.
I hope that this clip finds its way to someone's ears who either is struggling and can see sort of the effect that coming to Running for Resilience can have, or like Murray's friend who recommended he did come to Running for Resilience. Oh, wow.
They told me it was a doctor.
There you go. Yeah, I hope that, if you have a friend or someone that's struggling, that suggesting Running for Resilience could be something that really has a positive impact on their life. So definitely something to keep in mind.
And kudos to Murray as well for pulling his socks up and going, because a lot of people getting through struggles, it comes from them first. And it's so good that when that meets somebody willing to help, that's when the great stories happen.
One kudos on his dad for going meeting in Braidwood. The person that
it's
him down
great.
here.
It's great to see.
I think that's the last clip, but how do we think obviously there's some amazing, not to get rid of the highlights and lowlights, but we've just shared our highlights of the year.
I've
But
spooked you with this.
I mean,
Yeah.
how do you guys think it's went, and what are you guys excited for the year ahead with the pod? Lonsdale Studio pending, you guys will have us back.
Yeah.
Obviously. We're not counting our chickens before they hatch.
I think just the what you were saying, it's sort of like we started the storytelling in the RAG and now we've just gone to a different platform as well as the RAG. But I think sharing stories just makes our community so much stronger. And the example of Murray sharing that story when he felt comfortable, but the impact that would have on so many people listening to that is huge. And so if we can just continue to build on the stories that we're sharing, we're going to reach more people and help more people.
100%. I remember, we'll probably get him on the podcast, but Sammy Wilson.
Not Shuey.
No, not Shuey. Well, maybe him.
Get Shuey on
Waratahs.
too. Not when the Waratahs and West Tigers are playing.
He writes for Sobering Thoughts, and when he was going through like a real patch of writing and sharing his story, there was so many times where I'd read something he thought, and it would be a similar thought in my head, and I could just feel my shoulders relax. And I see it at R4R, and I see these stories doing the same thing. When somebody says something that is not often talked about, but so common, you can see people go, oh, thank God, like I'm not alone. And even just also showing people that, I think like Murray, just like a little gem there, I was dying inside and I was dying running, but he was smiling about it. And the ability to find humour even from the darkest points. Like I can look back and laugh at how my brain wasn't working as it should have in my hardest, because you can look back at it a different way. And I think these sorts of conversations show different ways to tread through different struggles or different good parts of life. And it's just like we're showing each other our homework and helping learn to all get the best mark possible.
I mean, my reflection on the year, it's bloody hard podcasting. I know people think everyone does a potty, but to host a podcast is actually quite hard. To host a decent one and to stay present but keep it structured and keep it on time and make sure you don't go over, which we're nearly going over here. So it's been a huge learning experience for me and huge just communication challenge. But I agree, like the stories that we're sharing here can only strengthen R4R. I feel we lost and I'm really proud of where this season 2, where we've wrapped up. I think all the last 2 episodes have been awesome. And I've certainly taken something out, learned something from all of them. Feel we lost our way a little bit, and I wanted to ban the word running. I was can we not talk about anything but running? Because I mean, Running for Zealand, we all know is not about the running. But I'm really proud of how we've course corrected, and I think there are just some amazing stories that I'm 100% certain will help people. Absolutely. Now the challenge is getting these stories out there, because people, I don't know, when I've been struggling, they're on TikTok, they're just consuming numbing stuff. So I see the challenge for us next year is just keep bringing these great stories from the community to light, but how can we get them then in front of the people that need them? That's, I guess, amazingly proud of what we've done this year, but that's, I guess, the thing I think about for next year.
Yeah. In 2 ways we can.
And if we've got ideas how to do it, how do we get these stories in front of people? We want to hear more from the audience, comments. We don't get many comments, questions to ask, guests. We really want to I feel we could get way more community participation in this storytelling. Maybe, hey, this is the schedule of the people we're going to interview next year.
What questions
the community want to know. If we said at the start we wanted it to be a community podcast, maybe that's how, through more community participation in the comments, in the organising of guests, in the questions for the episodes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way we can make it more community, rather than, obviously we tried to have lots of different hosts. So we tried to figure out our formula, or a sustainable, consistent formula, which we just said is pretty vital to all things R4R.
Yeah. I also everything you said. One of the things I also hope comes from this podcast is, okay, how do we get conversations in front of people? I think a lot of responsibility rests on people who've been through something and gotten through it well, to share their stories with their friends and be an open book in that way. Yes, asking if people are all right is great, but also just when the moment's right, around dinner table, just no big hoo-ha about it.
You don't need to be on a podcast to share your story.
You don't need to be on a podcast to share your story, and I think the more we
and
get
have
that,
it help people.
more we get that behaviour going by the people who have been through it and gotten through it, I think that's a key to scaling the message, because it's a behaviour. If that's a behaviour in and amongst all of our communities within Canberra and abroad, that is a behaviour that will improve the resilience of people around it. It's like it'll ripple for
just
sure.
Just normalising
conversations.
There's conversations.
And I think normalising it, you can see it. Like I've spoken with friends where I go, yeah, this happened and I wasn't in a good way, but got through it and I got through it with this. And then there's a bit of silence because they're not sure how to respond, and then you move on. And then you realise that it doesn't have to be like a violin come in and a big moment where it's like, oh my God, like, are you okay? It's like, hey, sometimes it's just part of life. And
life happens.
Diluting it a little bit helps people approach it. It doesn't look like this big mountain. It's like, oh, okay, maybe I can just do one thing and then hopefully be better, and then do one more thing and hopefully be better. And I think conversations help that. They help make it normal.
Anything, Kudos? Final wrap up before we wrap up for the year?
No. Thank you guys for all the help and support. I think I've probably annoyed you both with a lot of messages saying I'm stressed.
Not at all.
But I appreciate it, and thank you, and looking forward to next year.
Yeah, pumped. And good luck with your award, Benny. Or hopefully you'll be the local hero of Australia.
No pressure, thanks.